entry's just been completed about my big project at St John's Cathedral by a lady called Catherine Hunter. Have you come across her at all?
So, in this YouTube, I haven't really been clear that there is a sister piece to the RNA Showground drover and his mate sitting out in Longreach called the Drovers. But I will edit in pictures of the piece in Longreach, which then obviously makes it sensible while we're talking about a sculptural piece of Ryl's out at Longreach.
A little piece of the gardens that I quite like before we mosey back, I'll use it as a segue, are the butterfly catchers in the gardens. Believe it or not, they're actually bronze statues underneath that
They're
white.
painted white, are they?
Yes, it was early in the piece where
Well, white patina, maybe it's paint.
yeah, it's like a fiberglass cover, and it was more economical to produce them in the bronze, but the intention was to reflect upon the World Expo 88 heritage of the Artbuster Human Factor series. And after the first couple of series that were done, the Vandals decided that the white colour was perfect platform to
spray.
So then it was decided that the balance of them should actually be just pure bronze, and the result of them being bronze, I mean, it's just brilliant. And so I foreshadow the day where they'll actually lose their white covering these particular pieces and then revert back. However, I wanted to use that as a segue to your artwork out at Longreach, because sitting in the RNA Showgrounds,
It's an old trip.
yes, and sitting in the RNA Showgrounds is what's called the Drovers and his mate. But out at Longreach is this piece of sculpture of yours, and that is Pride and Place, I understand it, right next to
The R.N. Williams building that he actually built himself.
which
Yes.
when he was working out there, I think.
Yes, he built this really large building. I'm not
By hand, I think.
Yeah, great big slabs of the local sandstone. But the National Council of Women, I think it was called, were wanting to raise awareness of the association of outback women, of Indigenous and non-Indigenous women who survived together in a very harsh country, and without one another, you know, they would not have survived very often. And so I designed a sculpture that had the two mothers, one Indigenous, one non-Indigenous, walking together but still apart, but starting to converse and to understand, but the two children dashing on ahead, embracing and going forward in a much closer association. Unfortunately, we weren't able to raise sufficient funding to do the two mothers, and so it remains half completed. It'd be wonderful if someone could take up
All we have to do is convince Twiggy Forest that it's a great promotion for R.M. Williams, and it'll be done.
Yes, well, he's just purchased.
Exactly
hasn't
right.
he? Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
The little girl that I'm standing there with me was the model for the Indigenous child there, and the other little girl in the middle is my granddaughter. I think they're both about 9. They never met because they were from different parts of the state at the time, but now of course they're all in their 20s probably, well and truly.
well,
It's a
and
little while ago.
to connect the dots back to what I started out is, as I said, the Drovers, and this is legitimately from Expo 88, unlike the butterfly collectors. and it's just a wonderful positioning of the sculpture, and I'm
Oh, there's the dog too, the drover's
exactly
dog with them.
slightly changed its orientation. But you wouldn't believe that that's a recast from a fiberglass piece, would you? So quite amazing, the detail that was captured originally, that's now been preserved forever. And then save, the Brisbane City Council's done a really great job, and Dan Templeton, who chose that particular location. I just think it works so well, especially during the RNA when it's on, because it's sort of like right in the centre of activity. It's just quite amazing. And with that, Rhyl, I would really like to thank you for taking your time out this morning.
Oh, my
it's been
pleasure.
really great.
We've run the race.
We have, and I'm hoping that everyone finds the distilled narrative as we stitch together the playlist of interest. Really putting together one person's career over a longer period of time versus the condensed creative impact of one major event. But I just think human creativity should be celebrated, and by watching this morning, everyone, thank you and good morning.